You just reminded me just how seldom in the church, I mean, it's in the world too, but I think I'll just speak for me and my I statements is in the churches, because I've had some really dynamic, incredible church experiences. Like I loved what I did. I loved ministry. I loved
Hmm.
the arts and ministry. I love, I mean, I flourished there. But it wasn't a place to really, again, all right, like let you really know who I am. Let you
Hmm.
really know like where I'm struggling, or maybe a little bit, or like after I'd figured it out or I had the answer, like I talk about it, but I never really found a really safe place, especially as a leader, to be able to go into the areas that I was most in pain in, most struggling, most suffering. And kind of brought that stuff you talked about, the excelling and being really great and being
Hmm.
worthy, and I'm a singer, so I was up front all the time, and so I lived in a fishbowl, and kind of
Hmm.
like your mom, I felt like I better not really let anybody know what's going on. i
Yeah.
I spent a long time not even telling my therapist.
Hmm.
That's how unsafe I felt in the environment I was in, because I was in a very small community. I knew what I thought were the ramifications if I was telling people what was really going on in my marriage and in my life. So I didn't. And I really, really struggled. And I didn't know about anything like Crucible, where
Hmm.
would have had the opportunity to be able to do that. And I still see there's a lot of people in all kinds of organizations, especially spiritual organizations, that it's really risky to be doing what you're talking about doing. And yet, I feel like I'm supposed to be the person, if I love the Lord and want to be like Jesus, to be an example of the kind of person that says, this is all of who I am. And just like you, right? I'm loved. I'm fully loved no
Yeah.
matter what, right? I'm fully embraced no matter what. And yet, I don't know about you, but I'll still find myself trying to prove it to God, like, am I worthy? Am I
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'll catch myself at least. Like you said, I'm awake and aware enough and have enough people around me to help me pause and look at what's going on, which is still hard. I don't know how it is for you, Roy, but it's still hard to have that mirror in front of me going, yep, this is part of still who I am.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I got to face this.
Well, I mean, you've got to find the safe people to do that with, right? And I have that group, and my wife is very safe for me. So, and she's good at showing me grace when I'm. She's bringing into my awareness something. So she, um, but I do think that is at our heart of hearts what we desire most in our relationship. We want to be fully seen, fully known, because when we're not able to show up with authenticity in our relationships, we know that we're hiding some things about ourselves, and that hiding keeps us from really. Um, um, we know if they love us, but they don't know everything about us, then we know that we're really not fully loved because we're
Mhm.
not fully seen,
Mhm.
and it's so risky that safety takes time.
Mhm.
The safety takes time to develop in a relationship, but when one shares a little, then the other one, and that's held well, then it can go another layer deeper and another layer deeper until that kind of close intimacy and safety in a relationship. Um, I mean, it's a good way to live. It's a really
Mhm.
rich, beautiful way to live. Having the hard conversations is because it's risky, because we have fear. We frequently don't want to go that way,
Mhm.
right? We patch around it. We kind of numb out or find other things to do, where let distractions in life keep us from having the relationship. And what I believe is true for me, and I believe is true for most people in relationships, is while we're not taking action to have the hard conversation that we're avoiding, we are actually creating many of the things that that we fear would happen if we have the conversation, right? We don't want to have the conversation because it might mess up our relationship in some way, or it may make it worse, um, or we may really get what we want, and that may cause us to like have to change and do something ourselves. Like, so we're stuck. We're stuck not taking action and not moving. But while we're not taking action and staying stuck, we're creating the relationship problems that we thought might happen. So
Mm.
it's a tough thing, but I have found that in safety, taking risks with safe people in my life, taking risks rarely disappoints me. It mostly makes things better,
Mhm.
and it and the thing that I fear is going to happen that fear starts going away as soon as I get into action on it. It's like it looks like it's a giant, but whenever I take a couple of steps, it's like that little baby Yoda. It gets that small. Um,
Mhm. Did your wife go through a similar kind of path in terms of experiential work or growth?
yeah, she came a little slower. I think what happened was some of the women who were connected to the men who had gone through the weekend with me went before she did, and they came back and they were like, "Oh, you've got to go, you've got to go," and that was like, I don't have to go," she, you know. So I didn't ask her to consider going anymore, and it just came over time where she decided she wanted to go, and she took a friend with her, and it was a beautiful experience for her. Um, but the influence of what I experienced on my Crucible weekend, the series of experiences sequenced in such a way that it really made change, and the different techniques that I saw done and experienced myself, I started using the very next week in the coaching office and in counseling.
Mm.
Like I had appointments, and it just they were just right there, like in front of me, and so I was able to start. It started getting into the work I was doing with couples and with
Mm.
men, and then that shaped our couples retreats. And so, even though Deborah hadn't been through the things that I started teaching, she was going, "Oh, yeah," and the
Mhm.
experiences that we started creating started making a difference
Mm.
in her.
Mm.
She's um, she's been a part of several other weekends besides just the initial Crucible weekend, and in another Christian women's soul work organization, and also within Crucible. And she still volunteers from time to time.
Mhm.
She's um, she's always been supportive of whatever ministry or organization that I've run, and I'm very thankful for that.
Mhm.
We had to go through. She's an introvert, and I'm an extrovert, and like I'm a way over there extrovert, like off the chart extrovert, and so we had to come to some agreements about 10 years in our marriage. Is like, do I have to go to everything that you're involved in? I'm like, no, babe, no. And will you just tell me the things that you absolutely want me to go to? And I said, you don't even have to go to those, but I'll tell you the ones that I think are important.
Mhm.
Would take separate cars to fundraising events or whatever it was, and you know, so she could come and make an appearance and be with me for a minute, and then she'd like sneak out the kitchen or something, and go unpeople for a while. But
Mhm.
yeah, she's a wonderful partner and companion with it all. But yeah, I think that um, that her dive in has made it where um, I know more about the landmines that I can step on in our marriage because she's more aware of those herself
Mhm.
from her own story.
Mhm.
And so the soul work helped
Mhm.
her discover those. And why is it that whenever Roy gets close to this, I go from a 0 to a 10, et
Mhm.
cetera, and vice versa. And I think a lot of relationships, the couple gives up, one or the other does.
Mhm.
When somebody stepped on a landmine and they've really hurt the other person unintentionally, and
Mhm.
they think this is the way it's going to be forever. This like one big blow up,
Mhm.
whatever that looked like, avoidance or somebody getting big or whatever the pain was, and they don't work through it. And so most couples, once they've stepped on a landmine, if they'll work through it, if they stay together and they work through it, if they get a counselor or somebody to help them, then they know, oh, that landmine is there. I don't want to step on that anymore.
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
I want to
Mhm.
be careful when I get around that.
Mhm.
And what's beautiful in 38 years of marriage for me and Deborah is we pretty much know that where the ups and downs buttons are for each other, and how to care for each other when somebody's hurt, and how to lean in instead of moving away, all
Mhm.
of those things. It's really rich to have a relationship when you've been with someone so long. So
Mhm. And I like what you said. I just think, um, certainly for men out there, the best thing you can do for yourself, for your significant other or partner, for your family, for your kids, like, is this kind of work. Because
yeah,
I know, and for women too, right? So the better that I am, the better I am for everyone else. And
right.
I'm not bringing all my wounding into the relationship and then reacting out of that. And I know I've done that. I still do that, but I know in my leadership I've done that. And I would sometimes go home and go, why did I do that? Like, I didn't even know why I
Mm,
did that, right? And so helping me understand, like, I'm a big like why behind things. I want to know
mhm.
why. Why would we do that? Or why would we say that? Or why would we do it that way? It's just my curiosity, because if you can tell me why, then I can really get on board versus just
Right.
what, right? Or how. And so this has really helped me look into the why. And like you, I mean, I so admire my husband who works every single Saturday morning with a group of men at 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 on a Saturday morning. I mean, last Saturday they had 25 guys.
Wow.
They're just, they're just attracting men who say, I want to live abundantly. I want to live joyfully. I want to have great relationships. I want to feel better about my job and who I am and what I do.
Yeah.
And I think that Tom being that example for me really helped set the stage for me to be brave enough to go work on myself. And I'm a strong person.
Yes.
I'm not a courageous, brave person, but there was something about his willingness to go do that. And what I saw him being like in my life, different from any other man really that I'd ever met.
Mm,
There was a humbleness, there is a humbleness, there was a surrendered, there was a place of curiosity about himself and not him, what's the word I want? Like subscribing to, or even, he's never been this is just the way I am, like
mm,
ever.
mm.
In fact, he's always said, yeah, this is the way I'm being, but it's not the way I want to continue being.
Right.
I want to change. I want to be different. And we've done a lot of couples work, as you know, and, in coaching, I always tell people, go, are you a business coach? And I'm like, well, yes, but, you only have one life and business is a big part
Mhm.
of it. So I'm kind of a life, meaning
Right.
like a life and you can't, if you're unhappy in business, then you're bringing it home. And if you're unhappy at home, you're bringing it into your business. So it's life. And so we've done a lot of that work with business being the vehicle to bring us into the lives of people, but then
Right.
be able to then, because I don't know about you, but I just find like people, we don't have the tools. So like people don't have the tools of communication, or they don't have the
Mm.
tools to be able to talk about things or navigate the landmine, right? They just
Yes.
do it and they blow up, and then they don't know how to work through it, or they don't know how to resolve it, or they don't know how to have signals to not step on it again.
Right. Right.
um, and I love that Crucible, has tools that we can take beyond that weekend, like you said, into the whole rest of our lives, to
Yeah.
be able to look at, what am I telling myself? What do I need to tell myself differently? What do I need to be doing and saying with other people? Because I, like you, like I want to have great relationships. And
Yeah.
all my relationships aren't great. And
Mhm.
some of them are up to me as much as is up to me, and I work hard. And then sometimes I run into people who don't want to meet me that way.
Mhm.
I still have to say, how do I love you
You're right.
when I just want to leave you? You know?
Right. So,
But go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the things that impressed me around my time with Tom has been uh, you can tell he's done work for a long time, and he's a deep well of wisdom, and so anything that almost anything that he says, I'm hanging on the words and trying to understand because it's so deep. But but transformation takes time. Like people want to just go have an experience and everything's done and over in their life, and
Mhm,
now they're a perfect human being. Well, that's not the way it works. We're forming and growing over
mhm,
time,
mhm,
and not doing that personal work uh, tells the world this is me, and y'all deal with it. It's a very like selfish, narcissistic way of doing life, I
mhm,
think, and it certainly isn't a way that can create the relationships that give you so much joy. Like
mhm,
that's the thing that I love about why relationships are so important to me is it is such a source of joy just
mhm,
to have deep relationships with people.
mhm,
It's the thing that drives me more than anything else is connection and relationships, and it's the stuff between our ears. You were talking about life and business. It's really the stuff between our ears that get in the way of all of that, right? Get in the way of our relationships, get in the way of our leading well or making good decisions in our business. And the challenges around um, having the health that we want or the abundance that we want in life. It's between our ears and us working out what we're thinking about things, the meaning that we're giving things, and checking out where those might have come from in our lives. Like where did that show? How did I learn that?
mhm,
Or how did I decide that that's the truth for me? Our relationship with money, our relationship with possessions. I mean, there's so much.
mhm,
And Crucible has the tools and experiences that help people work through whatever that is,
mhm,
and that we can come back to and work on through the tools and use them in everyday life.
mhm,
And it's a beautiful gift for me. Like one of these days, I'm not going to be in the role stewarding Crucible's work anymore, but I will always be a part of Crucible and doing my own work.
mhm,
Um, until I can't gather with others anymore. I mean, it's it's
mhm.
it's just a very important thing in my life.
Well, you're gonna just go out with like you're gonna spontaneously combust and then have your relationships in eternity, right? Like I can't ever see you like not being involved. But so let's talk a little bit about your vision, your personal vision for you and Deborah and for you personally, not
Yeah.
just the organization, and then love to hear more about the organization. I mean, you've got me thinking about like I'm like you, like I would like every human being, and there are other weekends like this.
Yes. Yes.
So it doesn't have to be this kind of weekend, although this would be the weekend I'd always send people to just because of it's such a balanced, counterbalanced is what I'll say. There's no such thing as balance. I always think of teeter totter, right? Balance.
Yeah.
The counterbalance of all the aspects of your life, including your spiritual life. And I, having gone through a weekend that was not it was spiritual but not in the same regard as Crucible. This was so powerful because I think when you bring God into something, there's just an element that's there that's so powerful that other things don't have, even though
Hmm.
other things can be very good.
Yes.
That kind of to me was a stepping stone to this. But Because I'm like you, like I'd like to see every human being, I'd like to see every business owner really take their own growth really seriously and
Mm,
look at how it would impact their business. Because I wanted to do this podcast and create a movement around love well by doing good. Because I think if you have purpose in your life or in your business or in your family, that's the thing that really drives us. Money only goes so far, possessions only go so far, relationships, like relationships are right up there, right? Because everything in the world's about that. But I think that if you don't have purpose, it's really hard to keep going. It's really hard to get through the tough stuff, the disappointment, the lack, sometimes even the success. If you don't know why you're doing something and
right,
you're driven by that, is that powerful why, that why deep in your soul, not just I'm going to make a bunch of money or a name for myself or have 36 practices or whatever, that's satisfying, but not like when you find your own personal why,
right.
then everything changes. And a weekend like Crucible can help you find that, can help
That's
you
right.
discover who are you, what's your identity, what are you about, what are you supposed to be doing in the world or passionate about doing in the world, and to be able to unleash that. So let's hear from you about all of that, your own personal vision, the vision you have for Crucible, the things you like to see happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as we're recording this, we'll have 70 retreats this year that we'll put on in 26 different communities across the United States and 4 other countries. And if we fast forward, uh, that would be in by 2030. We'd like to grow 26 additional retreats, so we'd be over 100 retreats annually, serving on initial retreats double the number we are today. All of that is doable, and we're on our way. We've been running 40 to 60% hotter in our registrations year over year for the past 2 years, and I see that trend continuing. I think we're developing some better resources for all the volunteers who come to help serve. Last year, it was 1,151 who at least came and volunteered for one retreat. Many of them more than one, and we're just shy of 100,000 estimated hours of volunteer time. So we're having big impacts in people's lives, and I think one of the things that I would really like to see Crucible do is know with statistical accuracy the impact that we're having. So there was a study about 10 years ago. A couple of doctoral students did their dissertation and they studied the effectiveness that we had on 5 different elements. We were statistically significant improvements in well-being, moving from aggression or passivity into assertiveness, things like oh, I missed it. We might have to cut that. Sorry, I can't remember what. Anyway, so the study revealed some significance, but it was a one-shot study, and we didn't have the volume of participants that we have today. So uh, it's in the plan to invest in uh, an outcome study that would tell us specifically the kind of outcomes that we're having with in a way that we could publish it and tell the world the impact that we're having. So those are some of the short-term things. I see us doing more and continuing to evolve to excellence and better and the numbers, figuring out how to study us in an outcome study on a regular basis would give us indicators when something starts slipping. So, Crucible is 20 years old this year, and I'm thinking about where are we 20 to 40 years from now? What do we need to be doing today so that my grandkids and great grandkids can come through a Crucible weekend if they want to sometime in their life? and and then letting people know, like coming on this podcast, letting people know that we exist. And man, I have been out in front of Christian business owners and pastors, counselors, coaches, letting them know that we're here, and a lot of podcasts and such. But we just need more of that, and all of that takes a lot of energy and time to do. So that's where I see where we're going. I do believe we would like to start offering some work with couples. So we've never done couples retreats uh, as an organization, but I see the the planning of that in our near future, and that being an additional offering that we would have. Um, as far as me personally, I get to enjoy being a part of a retreat occasionally. Within Crucible, we have 30 something leader, 30, 33, 35 leaders. We'll continue to replicate leaders the way that we always have. And I get so much joy from it, but I do miss working with couples. And so that's something, and me personally, I think uh, more time with my grandchildren is in my future. And hopefully God will bless us with even more grands over time. And Deborah's a couple of years away from retirement. So when she retires, we'll be thinking, how can I slow down a bit and be a sender of people instead of me actually going and doing it. We have a rich relationship with our kids and their spouses, and getting to spend more time with them is really important. So I
How
hope
many
that
how many kids and how many grands do you have now?
I have two children, my daughter and her husband, my son and his wife. They're just like additional kids, like bonus kids. They are wonderful. They get along with each other and with us. It's like, how could I be so better blessed than the way that it is? And I have two grands right now, 3-year-old grandson, and 6.5-month-old grandson. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, you
it's
got some great years. My um, one of my daughters had a birthday on Sunday, and then another yesterday.
ah,
4 years and a day apart. But the older one came for her birthday, and she's got our three grand boys who are 12, 9, and 6.
uh,
So after we did dinner and Domino's, we did karaoke, and this is the first
oh,
we have done karaoke. What a blast! I knew they would probably enjoy doing it, and even the 6-year-old sang Jingle Bells in the mic. Heard his little.
I love it.
I have these great videos of their dance moves to Michael Jackson, all this
Yeah.
stuff. So
What
you
do
got
they call you?
Gigi.
Gigi.
So here's
Very.
the fun story. My mother was Mormor, which in Norwegian means mother's mother. So I
Mm,
wanted to carry on that tradition of being a mother's mother, but I didn't want to also, she was still here. I didn't want to be a Mormor. So I have a friend who lives in Tanzania, and I asked her, what is mother's mother in Swahili? And it's Bibi. So I was going to be a Bibi. And then my daughter's husband said to me one day, you are not a Bibi. Like, you're more like a golden gram. Like, we should call you Gigi, which was just so cool. I'm like, okay, I'll be a Gigi.
I
So,
like it.
which is fun because it's a Gigi and a great grandmother. So, but yeah, I mean, having grown up, the oldest of six,
Mm,
was never going to have kids. Like, I had my kids. And then, of course, didn't. Had my first daughter, who I fell absolutely in love with and thought, how can you ever, like, replicate this love, right? It was just
hmm
incredible, overwhelming to me in a really good way. And so then had, my other daughter. And so I was excited about grandkids, but I didn't, I always listen to people go, yeah, grandmother. I'm just like, yeah, probably not going to be like that. I have a career. I'm always going to have a career.
hmm
My identity's out here. Yes, it's a mom, but, and then same thing. My daughter had our first grandson, and it was like, it felt like having her all over again.
hmm
holding him and loving him and weeping. And, you know, he's 12 now, and he still gives me the best hugs. I say, are you told to like sit by me so close? And, you know, like when he's out with his friends, he's too cool for the world. But he definitely, you know, is still all of them are just like happy to see me and hugging me,
Yeah.
you know, and it's really cool to have grandkids. And if you don't have grandkids, you should go adopt somebody's grandkids just to have the experience.
Well, it is something that is unexplainable to me. How I'm like, how could this new child? How could I love them the way that I love their mama? You know,
Yeah.
and then boom, my heart just explodes. And it's big enough to have all this extra love for this new grand. It's
Yeah.
an amazing experience, and uh, and fun. So I haven't thought about retirement so much most of my career, but the grands, spending time with the grands, make me go, maybe someday. I don't know. I'm still
Yeah. Well,
building things, pouring into future leaders of Crucible, and building systems that will sustain us well beyond my lifetime.
well, I'm just going to be a person in your life who's going to encourage you. Don't ever retire. Keep refiring, not
Ah,
retire.
I like that.
Refiring, because again, that purpose piece. Like I have friends who are retiring and they don't. You can only golf and shop
Right,
and that, you know, like play pickleball so often, but the people who also have those things, time to do those kind of things and their family and still have some kind of purpose,
right.
they're they're healthier, they're younger, they're more alive, they're more engaged.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
so
I mean,
don't ever just quit, but and I know you won't because that's the kind of guy you are, but you know,
I probably have
We need you till you're not here anymore.
I probably have a few more books in me. I have thoughts around one right now, but
Can you
um,
tell us about it? Can you tell us kind of the theme of it? And
yeah. So we don't have a good story, well written story of the impact that we're having at Crucible, and so it would be a blend of my story into the major teaching tenets of Crucible, or the
mm,
principles upon which we hang all of our work, so
mhm,
that somebody who will never come to a weekend can uh, begin a journey themselves.
mm,
And also, so people who don't know anything about us could pick it up and read and hopefully find something for themselves, but know where we are, what we're doing in the world, if that
mhm.
makes sense. So
Yeah.
um, I've never told my all of my story. Uh, there are parts of my story I've always kept um, away from the public, or not on a podcast or whatever. And I told you some stuff today, but I didn't tell you all the stuff. But I think one of the reasons is I've been worried about hurting my mom. She's still alive. She has dementia, so,
Mhm,
and who knows. So, but I think we're to the point where I could get out something and say things in a way that would be still honoring of her, which is part of my purpose. She's still in my life. My
mhm,
mom and my dad are still
mhm.
in my life. So honoring them well, even though there was some stuff, right? There was some
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I my kids are gonna have some stuff around me. Maybe
Yeah.
not around you, but your kids, but mine are gonna have some stuff around me, which I try and talk openly to them about now.
Yeah.
I've always been pretty open with them when I've gone through really tough stuff to try and own my part and talk about it and let them tell me how they have felt, you know.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's been hard, but it's been really good. And like you said before, being willing to go to the hard place with them has created a lot more intimacy and trust in our relationship.
Correct.
You know,
Yeah.